So hello. I'm kind of dreading this right now, but I have to talk about what's happening with Dea. So Dea Schlossberg, for those of you who don't know, was videotaping as a documentarian, doing her job, a protest in North Dakota. It wasn't the Dakota Access Pipeline; it was tar sands pipelines that were being shut down manually using the emergency shutdown valves of activists who were climate activists. And she was there as a journalist, as a documentarian, you know, to record what was happening with the movement, which is something that I have done for the last 10 years, which is something that she has done for, half a decade. She's been a brilliant collaborator, an incredible producer, an incredible partner in working the last 5 years. So she was there to tape these proceedings. She was arrested as an accessory by the North Dakota police, I believe unjustly. And that kind of arrest should send a chill down the spine of any journalist, any artist, any documentarian. Because, you simply cannot arrest the press for doing their job. You cannot arrest people who are simply trying to report to the rest of America and the rest of the world what's happening on the front lines. Whether or not you think what the people who shut the pipelines off did was a crime, I don't believe it was a crime. I think it was an incredible act of bravery. You cannot just simply pull the press off the field and arrest them too. That is what happens in fascist places. That is what happens in tyrannical places. And it gets worse because I'm sorry, this is really hard. So she was, I guess the term is arraigned today. And they gave her 3 felony charges that have a maximum penalty of 45 years. 3 felony charges with a maximum penalty of 45 years. Now that's insane. I'm going to read the charges here because I can't remember them off the top of my head, but the charges are, oh man, I have to find the right email, sorry. Oh Christ. I can't, oh, here we are. 2 Class A felonies and 1 Class C felony. Conspiracy to theft of property, conspiracy to theft of services, conspiracy to tampering with or damaging of public services. These are threats these charges are threats to our basic freedoms as Americans. Our right to report what is happening is protected by the Constitution. It is the First Amendment. It is not a crime. Journalism is not a crime. Journalism is a responsibility. It is one of the pillars of our free society. And if we don't have that, we are no longer living in the United States of America. For Dea Schlossberg, my producer, who is a remarkable person, a person who I've never ever seen get angry, who I've never ever seen be selfish or unfair, ever. Which is remarkable on its own, especially dealing with me all the time. Who is an Emmy-winning, college Emmy. She won for her first feature about fracking called it In Your Backyard. And who is the winner of a National Geographic Explorer Award because she marched or hiked the entire length of the Andes, 7,800 miles, took 2 years. A person without whom the sequences in the Amazon, when we were trekking into the Amazon for how to let go of the world and level of things climate can't change, into the Amazon, 12 kilometers to find oil spills that no one was reporting on. We would never have been able to do that without Dea. Her work in that film is absolutely brilliant. Her stewardship of this band of crazies that we work with has been remarkable. She's not a criminal. She's a hero. She deserves a medal, not a potential charge for 45 years. That's outrageous. We're getting together a letter. I've written a letter to the Attorney General, to the President, to the media, and to the Governor of North Dakota. I'm going to read it. It's already been signed by Neil Young, by Bill McKibben, by Daryl Hannah, among others. Many, many amazing people have already signed this letter. Christopher Ryan, Lee Camp, award-winning producers and writers and directors and musicians have signed on to the letter. And I'm going to read it to you now because I want you to share it. I'll attach it as a comment to this post. But please do share this post and share what's happening with Dea. She's a remarkable person. But let me just say, before I read this, look, we're not living in the United States anymore. If journalists go to jail simply for doing their job. Can you imagine? I mean, if the people who shot the videos showing police brutality at Occupy or for Black Lives Matter were nabbed and went to jail. Can you imagine if embedded reporters in Iraq who witnessed things were all of a sudden just able to be hauled off the field and thrown in jail and been threatened with 45-year sentences? Can you imagine? This is not our country if we lose this fight. The United States of America depends on these charges being dropped right away, and I am not joking. This is the kind of precedent that cannot be set in our country, and it is part of a trend. Amy Goodman arrested in North Dakota for journalism. Shailene Woodley arrested in North Dakota for live streaming, i.e. reporting. And now Dea Schlossberg arrested in North Dakota for reporting. This is the United States of America. I'm not in the United States of America. I'm in the UK. But that cannot be allowed to happen in the United States of America. I'm going to read you the letter. Dear colleagues and friends, I regret to inform you that documentary filmmaker Dea Schlossberg, producer of How to Let Go of the World and Love All the Things Climate Can't Change, was arrested while filming a protest action in North Dakota. She was held for 48 hours in Pembina County Jail without access to her attorney. This should send a chill down the spine of every documentary filmmaker and journalist. In my view, the North Dakota police are in violation of the First Amendment, charging a documentary filmmaker with conspiracy rather than viewing her as a reporter, journalist, exercising her First Amendment rights is unfair, unjust, and illegal. We need a show of support right now for Dea's immense courage and for the First Amendment. Now, here's the really bad news, and this is why we need you to act right now. This afternoon, she was escorted to the courthouse where she was charged with 3 Class A and C felony charges that carry 45 years maximum sentence combined. She has been charged with 2 Class A felony charges and 1 Class C felony charge, conspiracy to theft of property, conspiracy to theft of services, conspiracy to tampering with or damaging a public service. These charges are a threat to our freedom of expression on the most basic level, and especially to documentary filmmaking. If we cannot film events as they're happening, especially protest events or events that the establishment and the police might consider crimes, we will never work or live in the same way again. How many times have you been in a situation where people were being arrested and your camera was the only witness to the event that could truly portray what was happening? Imagine now that simply by filming the actions of others, you could face felony charges with maximum sentences of 45 years. That's why we have a First Amendment. The Constitution protects the freedom of the press and our right to document events. We need an outcry from all documentary filmmakers, journalists, and artists, and citizens immediately. So I'm asking you to sign on to a very simple letter that states, Dea Schlossberg was exercising her First Amendment right as a journalist. The state of North Dakota's criminal complaint filed against her on October 13th, 2016 should be dropped immediately. Journalism, especially documentary filmmaking, is not a crime, it is a responsibility. The freedom of the press is a fundamental right in our free society. The charges filed against her are an injustice that must be dropped immediately. And the undersigned so far, myself, Daryl Hannah, Neil Young, Francis Fisher, Lee Camp, Christopher Ryan, David Braun, Stephen Tabakin, Chloe Maxman, Alexis Krauss, Stephen Tabakin. Oh, Stephen Tabakin's on there twice. This is all new. John Bowermaster, Alexander Zaitchik, and many, many more are coming in. Mark Ruffalo just signed on. And many others are coming in. So please, we're going to put the I'm going to put this on with the with the post. All right. Oh, Francesca Fiorentini also just signed on. So thank you, everybody who's already signed on. This is not going to be the end of this, by a long shot. We're going to fight this as far as we can go, and I'm hoping. I believe Day is about to get out, having posted bail, and I hope we hear from her pretty soon. She's not always a person who likes to be in front of the camera. She's a person who likes to be behind the camera, but she's going to have to get in front of the camera soon. All right. So. I love you, Dea. We all love you. And, we're not going to allow this to stand. Not for a second. All right. Thanks, everybody. Spread the news. We need help.